Kung Fu Panda from 2008. I did a double take when I saw how old this movie was. I have vague memories of seeing it in the theater, not in 3D. In fact, after some digging around, I found myself confused that news clippings from the time made absolutely no reference to the 3D. That would have been a really big deal in 2008. After some more digging, it seems that this 3D version was in fact a 2011 Blu-ray only release, probably made to coincide with the sequel released that same year. And I still could not find any record of so much as a press release for it. Unless history has entirely buried the record, it seems that this was just quietly put on shelves with little to no fanfare. And fanfare it deserved. This is a tremendous 3D experience. So much so that it seems almost unbelievable that it wasn't intended to be seen in 3D from its earliest inception. I don't know if it's a conversion, a re-render, or perhaps a combination of both. There are no stereography credits at the end. But look how much disparity they allow in this particular shot. Normally, you'd only see this much in classic 3D films. And something very similar with these swords. Classic 3D coming out, yeah. Not quite eye-poking, but as close as most people want it. Whenever we see ducks on screen, which is often, it happily prods out of the screen, very similar to Migration, which I happen to have watched just last week. From a stereo perspective, this stands shoulder to shoulder with that one. Like the duckbill, it habitually lets the faces and heads of characters sit in front of the screen. There really isn't a bad moment here. There are some wonderful particle moments, not just in things breaking apart, though we do get plenty of destruction on screen, but we also see it in longer, more sentimental parts. We get to watch these flower petals slowly fall to the ground, and 3D likes it slow. And there's plenty of time to soak in the flurry. Although there's plenty of detail in the animation, these scenes never felt cluttered. The relatively empty rooms and groomed outdoors gave a strong sense of where objects sit in relation to each other. Combined with the very strong 3D, I found it created something of a God's eye view throughout the movie. Not quite hyper stereo. I suppose it's a dollhouse effect I'm noticing, but again, you'd have to interpret it as looking small, and I never got that impression. And the opening, which I must mention, has a wonderful paper doll animation, which they absolutely fill with every possible stereo layer. At one time, I thought the world would be flooded with cartoons in this cutout style, but it wasn't, and in the few we did get, generally, they tried to get away with doing as little as possible with 3D instead of creating a rich tapestry like we see here. I would love to see an entire paper cutout movie done with this much detail. Story-wise, memory is a funny thing. Although the movie is enjoyably lighthearted, it's not nearly as much of a farce as I thought I remembered it to be. It follows a very tight underdog hero plot and isn't a parody. It takes itself very seriously, and the jokes here are situational rather than satirical. Although Kung Fu Panda is a silly premise, it does have something to say about finding the right tool for the job. That it's not about finding the most expensive or most elaborate. And I also think you can infer something quite a bit deeper, that true power does not require intelligence. True power is not cunning. Skill is for the scared, the vulnerable. Skill is for survival. Skill is aligning yourself to the image and nuances of something that's actually powerful. It's the sailor who must learn about the sea, the peasant who must stay informed of the king, the deer who must listen for the wolf, and everything else stands aside for the bear.